Mitch Comstock, LeadIQ Senior Product Marketing Manager. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to have you here and to show you LeadIQ's newest capability, contact tracking. It's a very exciting time for us. We're glad that you took some time here at the end of Q2 to come join us. To get us started here, we're going to pop up a poll here on the chat asking, have you ever brought a product or tool to a new organization after you changed jobs? Is there anything that you switch jobs and you need it? It's vital. You've brought it with you. I'm starting to see some answers come in here. And overwhelmingly, well, there's a couple no's, but for the most part, we're seeing yes. And this is so common for us where at our old job, we had a tool or a product that we loved. We look at it as being vital to the way we do things. And when we switch jobs, we want to bring it with us. Who wants to learn something new when I have something that I know works and that I was successful with before? That's really what contact tracking is all about here. No, it's not another AI writing tool. Everyone's talking about theirs and launching theirs. That's not what we're here to talk about today. But contact tracking is all about leveraging relationships. So people that you've already sold to, people that you've already talked to, how do I leverage that to build pipeline now? So it's almost kicking it back to old school selling, relationship selling. I don't know. I think of like small town car dealership who knows everybody. That's what we're talking about with contact tracking. Your company has a long list of people who have bought your product before. They know your product and they love it. And contact tracking allows you to leverage those relationships and leverage those contacts and turn it into warm pipeline for your go-to-market teams today. It's all about knowing when your buyers and champions change jobs and then notifying your team so they can proactively act on it. For every one person that reaches out to you, there's several that don't for a variety of reasons. So this lets your teams actually continue that relationship and talk to them. A couple stats to set the backdrop on why this is important, why here at LeadIQ, we spent time building this solution. The first one is 18% of sales teams were on track to hit quota in Q2, only 18%. And there's a lot of pressure on sales and go to market right now to reduce costs, to reduce the tech stack. Finance is involved in almost all the decisions and renewals that are happening. So there's a lot of pressure on sales teams that they're trying to hit their quota. And the old way of doing prospecting, we need something new. There needs to be another way to get to that quota number, get to your revenue number, because there's a lot of teams that are struggling right now. And part of that struggle is with how much change there is in the workforce. In 2023, we're looking at 26% of workers who are going to be leaving their jobs. That's a lot of people leaving. And it's not just affecting your sales team, it's also affecting your customer success team when it comes to renewals. If you have a key contact or a buyer who leaves, now that renewal's at risk all of a sudden. So if I can proactively engage with that account before we get to renewal time, that's a huge win for the organization. And it's not just 26% are expected to leave, but 96% of people are looking for a new job in 2023 or open to it. So there are a lot of people who would be willing to jump to a new company. And really that it puts a lot of pressure on the sales team, on the go-to-market teams to do that. So that's why we're here today. And we're excited to show you contact tracking. We think it's a really great addition to any team's prospecting tool set. And to kick things off, I want to bring on LeadIQ's co-founder and CEO, Mei. We'll let her jump in there. Hi, Mei.
Hi, Mitch. Hi, everyone. It's great to see all of you here.
Yeah. And Mei is calling us in from Singapore today, so it's very late. So we'll try to get through this as quick as possible. So Mei, to start out, how does contact tracking fit into LeadIQ's product vision? Where does this fit into where LeadIQ is going, where we've been? Would love to hear that from you.
Yeah, certainly. So we built LeadIQ with the vision to help companies create more pipeline more effectively. And we make it easy for reps to take actions on insights and other activities that help to create pipeline. Most of you here who are familiar with LeadIQ have known how easy it is to use LeadIQ one-click update from the Chrome extension to help you generate pipeline, create leads very easily into the sales system that you're using. And now we are expanding to help you to track contacts and build more pipeline with warm leads. When your product champions change jobs, it's really good opportunity for you to be engaged with them. They are very warm leads and they're more likely to purchase from you again. So before, we would have to manually search and track when these champions change jobs. And now it's really easy for you to do that. We make it really easy for you to track and reach and take actions when any of these product champions change jobs.
Yeah. I think that's the key, right? Job changes isn't new, but it was always manual. It was more luck of the draw. Do I run into this and do I find it? Historically, Lead IQ, and you touched on this, has been used primarily for cold outreach by outbound teams. Why do we go the contact tracking route? Why is this important for other go to market teams outside of just sales?
Right. I think in this economy, everyone knows that budget is tighter than before. It's more important than ever that you are actually acting on these warm leads. Former buyers are more likely to buy, and you should reach them before your competitors do. And when you know a champion or buyer changes job without having to do a lot of the manual data or data research that you have to do, benefits not only the sales team, but the entire GTM team, because marketing team can also help to support when a new champion joins a new target account. You can align sending the right materials, the right messages from marketing as well as sales. Customer success as well can maintain better relationship and reduce churn as your team gets notified, and you will be able to take actions before renewal if you are aware that the champion just leaves and in better relationship with whoever is taking over the champion.
Yeah, I think that churn is so important. It's top of mind for everybody right now is how do I reduce churn? How do I protect our churn there? And it is such a difficult task right now for a lot of teams. This type of solution is relatively new, but there are some providers who have been doing this type of contact tracking. And shout out to any of you guys on the call today. But where do you see Lead IQ being different with this offering?
That's a very good question. So LeadIQ has always focused on building software for ease of use with the best workflow. And it's not different with this contact tracking solution. Our solution has both the data foundation as well as the flexibility to build the workflow that fits you. So this is more than just a notification that many other data providers deliver that, oh, someone just changes jobs. But we are actually building it targeted workflow that's customizable and flexible with an automated approach to help you to act on this, being able to add these needs into sequences directly. And we can work with you to make sure that this workflow is actually fitted to your team. So you will be able to act on these leads appropriately at a timely manner and add them to sequences easily.
Yeah, I think the other part to add to that too is that tech consolidation. So being able to get contact tracking from the same vendor that's doing your B2B data, that's doing an sales AI email writer, your CRM enrichment, like that goes a long way with your CFO and as well as user adoption. We don't need more tools. We just need a tool that does the things we need it to do. I think that's an important point there too. May, last question. I imagine it's on the tip of a lot of people's tongues, but how does this work? How does Lead IQ get the data for job changes? Do we have spy cameras in home offices? We have whistleblowers all over the place that are telling us, like, where are we getting some of that data from?
It's actually a proprietary information, but to answer the question, we've been in the industry for years building one of the largest B2B contact database for our customers. So we have the infrastructure, the technology, and data sources. And with IQ, track more than 40,000 job changes every week. This is just a routine process in order to continually update our database. So we already have the data, we have the data sources, and the user base is essentially the source where all these job changes are coming from. But we just repackage them as contact tracking to specifically help you whether this is a set of contacts and accounts that you are already tracking, and we help to deliver this to you so that you can act on it more immediately.
That's super insightful. A very exciting time here at Lead IQ, obviously. Again, May, want to thank you for your time. Any closing thoughts before we move on to the next speaker?
I'm looking forward to see more of you start acting on this contact tracking solution, start acting on more warm leads and build more pipeline.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks again, May. We really appreciate it.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
So next we're going to bring on Kunal, who's our director of product here at LeadIQ. Hi, Kunal.
Hi, Mitch. Thank you so much.
And Kunal's going to actually give us a demo of how contact tracking works. I think we're going to pull up a poll first, though, asking about if you've ever received an inaccurate job change for a prospecting email. So has anyone ever reached out to you 6 months, a year after you changed a job, trying to congratulate you on it? I'm seeing some responses come in here. Yeah. Looks like it does happen fairly often. Would be good. The contact tracking is there. We get a little bit more updated, but you're going to walk us through how this works, what it looks like to actually track contacts with contact tracking with LeadIQ. So I'm going to hand it off to you to walk us through it.
Thanks a lot, Mitch. Yeah, I'm super excited and thanks everyone for joining this event today. So before I jump into the demo and show the real stuff, let me just spend a minute talking about what we have built. Contact tracking offering is available via two options. First, through LeadIQ's web app, where a user can upload a CSV of contacts and then download another CSV of job changes once they are available. There is another option which is more automated within the customer's Salesforce. This involves installation of LeadIQ's Salesforce app, which then further installs all the necessary components required to automate the submission of contacts for tracking and then subsequently consume the job changes within Salesforce. So, what you see in this slide is a representation of the overall flow, which should be self pretty straightforward and simple. So, first and foremost, it all starts with getting the list of contacts to the two options that I just talked about. Then LeadIQ works on preparing the input data, removing any invalid records and duplicates, and then going through our service, which finds the job changes from our database. And then once we find the job changes, what we really want is enriched data for those records. So the new company name, the new contact data, email, phone number, so on and so forth. And then LeadIQ works to present and process that output, whether it's outputs in the CSV format or within Salesforce, which is more automated. And we don't just end here. As May mentioned, our goal is not just presenting the records, but also showing you the outcome of our capabilities. So similarly for contact tracking, we measure the outcomes, how many job changes we generated, and how successful these job changes were in eventually helping you get opportunities and how many meetings you were able to book from these job changes. That note, let me go ahead and show you a quick demo. So first up, let me show you the manual CSV route. So I go into the web app and select the track tab. And from there in contact tracking. So as an admin, I go and click on upload watch list. And I can go and upload a CSV with basic information about the contacts to be tracked. So the input data, which I have masked here because of PII, includes basic company and person information. So I go ahead and select the input data once it is ready, and I will go ahead and submit it for processing. Once the file is validated, as you can see, the upload is successful. And at this time, I can go ahead and click on view job changes. Now, as you can imagine, we are talking of thousands of contacts. So this may take anywhere from few minutes to few hours. But once it is done, you get this email, which tells you about the report being generated. And you come back to the web app, you see the number of job changes generated and click on download to see the output CSV. And once you open the output CSV, what you will notice is that, again, we have masked the data here, but I have all the column headers displayed. We do provide a lot of information like the current company domain, the location, person details like the current title, the job start date, the work email, the email status, mobile phone, and many other information which will be very useful as you start to work on those job change records. Now, while that was what you just saw was the manual route, now let me show you how it works in Salesforce. Now, this option is getting more interest because it's more automated and it can better track the contribution to outcomes. So once you install and set up LeadIQ Salesforce app, you will get to see a built-in report which can be modified to identify those contacts that need to be tracked. So what you see here is a sample built-in report. Now, once this report is created, behind the scenes, there are a few jobs which run to pull these contacts and post them to the LeadIQ surface, which in turn finds the job changes. And once the job changes are generated, they are posted back to Salesforce. So now you will see a list of custom objects that are first created within Salesforce, which basically represent the output of LeadIQ service. So these are all the different job changes which were found. Let me just click one of them just to show you how an output record looks like. This is for an individual which we had inputted. And you can see the current company information that has been provided by LeadIQ. And you can also see the past information which was available as part of the input data. Now, what you see here is that LeadIQ went ahead and further created a lead for this individual. And how this happens is this was possible because all these custom objects pass through this built-in lightning flow within Salesforce that you can see here right now. Now, this flow tells the LeadIQ app on how to process the job changes within your Salesforce environment. Should a new lead or contact be created, or when should an existing contact be updated? So, on that note, again, this built-in flow can be modified to suit your business requirements. So that kind of ends my demo. And at this time, I hope you liked it. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Mitch.
Yeah, Kunal, that was great. I think we have a couple questions here, and I know May is in the chat answering them, but would love your take too. First question, I think this was on the first slide where you were showing the different steps, but step 5 indicates email notification for job changes is Slack notification in development.
Yes, that's correct. Slack notification is also in the development.
Yep. And with the Lightning workflows as well, like we said, there's a ton of flexibility there. So we can build that in really any way you want, basically. There was also a couple of comments and questions about updating other CRMs like HubSpot.
Sure, absolutely. That's in our roadmap. Again, it's a subject of the customer demand. We currently support HubSpot for our prospecting solution. So it's not too far away. We have started with Salesforce just because of the demand that it has.
Yep. And like I think May put in there, right now it'd be through the web app, through the CSV files, but
Absolutely.
absolutely something we can look at there. And then this is a good question. Is there a limit to the number of contacts that can be imported? So is there a limit to the number of contacts that someone could track? Maybe if you could answer both to the CSV and the Salesforce version.
So as you saw, technically there is not any limitation per se because you saw that we restricted by saying that we are searching in the background because job changes search happen in the background. And when the results are available, we return it to them, to the users. So from a technical standpoint, there is no limitation. Really, the limitation comes really from a licensing standpoint, which is based on what subscription you have. You are eligible to track a certain set number of contacts.
Yep. And that actually plays into this question. What plan do you need to enable this feature? So I could take this one briefly. So contact tracking is a separate add-on. So any annual plan can purchase this. We're pricing it based on the number of contacts tracked. So really the pricing is up to you. It's however many you want to be tracking. We'll talk a little bit later about what we're doing at LeadIQ and what we recommend in terms of which contacts to track, because you probably don't want to track your entire CRM since that's probably potentially massive. But we'll cover that in a second. But really any LeadIQ customer can take advantage of this, but it is a separate add-on.
I do see a few more questions. If you want, we can just take it real quick. Like this one, how
Yeah.
easy is this to implement in Salesforce? Or
Yep.
how long does it take to get up and running? Actually, to set it up in Salesforce is pretty easy. It's a matter of maybe even few minutes up to an hour. Because as you could see, a lot of things are built in, whether it's a report of contacts to be tracked or how the job changes will be processed. Really, what we have seen from our customer experience is setting it up to meet the business requirements. What are the contacts that they need to track really to get maximum value from LeadIQ? And similarly, what are the rules which LeadIQ needs to follow to process the job changes within the Salesforce environment. I think it's more of a function of when the customer is ready, and we jointly work with the customer to make sure they get the most value out of it. So that is really where it may take maybe a day or few days based on the readiness of the customer with their requirements.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. Hopefully that answered that question. Another question, are reps informed in real time when there's a job change, or what's the timing typically for this?
Correct. Again, the job changes, especially in contact tracking, it's delivered on a schedule basis, on a specific schedule. And by default, our schedule is monthly. We do have flexibility, especially in our Salesforce app, to make it even more frequent on the basis. Basically, when I say when it's frequent, the LeadIQ service can return this results, let's say, on a weekly basis. So that's the kind of, I would say, recurrence on which the results can be returned. But having said that, we have another capability which is called account tracking, where we actually return job changes in real time to the users, the SDRs, who are actively prospecting into target accounts, and they would like to know if new people have moved into their accounts or people have moved out of the target accounts. So there actually job changes are returned in real.
Yeah, appreciate that. And one more, I think one more here, Kunal. Can you customize who you are tracking? And this is from Patrick.
So if I understand this question correctly, it really means can I customize who are the contacts that I want to track? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I think you would hear later in this webinar itself, and I will not steal the thunder, when one of our other participants joins and talks about how LeadIQ itself has championed this for our own sales team. And we have our team itself customized heavily what are the different types of contacts that we want to track. So let's just wait for that part of the presentation.
Perfect. I think that's all our questions here. So again, Kunal, want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you giving us a look at that. But yeah, I think the big thing for me here, flexibility is key, especially in the Salesforce automation portion of it. And yeah, it was really great. Yeah, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Great. So now we're going to bring on Tyler, who is our RevOps guru here at LeadIQ and has been knee deep in building our own version of this. LeadIQ, we use the LeadIQ platform every day. So he's going to give us a sense of, from a RevOps perspective, what this means. I think there's another poll question we're going to bring up. Just seeing if you guys here in the audience have seen an increase in job changes and if that's affecting your sales ability to hit targets. So I guess, Tyler, from RevOps perspective, what are you seeing when it comes to turnover, job changes, and how that's affecting
Yeah.
teams that we talk to every day?
Yeah. Thanks, Mitch. So we are, at least at LeadIQ, definitely seeing an increase in turnover and job changes either within our customer accounts or prospects. This is a really top of mind, I won't call it an issue, but maybe more of an opportunity for us to take advantage of and make sure we pay attention to, whether that's keeping tabs on existing customers and the stakeholders that work there, people that we need to work closely with, or prospects that we are trying to close new deals with or existing deals with. We're seeing this become pretty frequent and pretty important for us to stay on top of. On the RevOps side in general, I think most of the other RevOps folks in here would probably agree, but for LeadIQ specifically, our objective is really to enable all of our go-to-market teams to find the deals that are most likely to close, but the deals that are also most likely to close the quickest, or find ways to retain customers and stay in touch with those users. So everything we do is really focused on automation, process, and building for scale to enable these teams to be as efficient as possible. At LeadIQ, we know that our former buyers, our former users, our existing users, champions, they're all people that are very likely to buy LeadIQ again or bring LeadIQ with them if they were to change jobs. And they generally make that decision pretty quickly, or decide to continue using LeadIQ or purchase LeadIQ again pretty quickly after they've moved. So with this in mind, understanding where these people go is super important for us, right? knowing what company they've moved to, what position they hold now, when that job change event or promotion event actually took place. Really valuable data point for our teams to have. And it's across all of our go-to-market teams, not just one. Leveraging these job changes, we can actually surface those leads and those contacts very quickly and accurately and get those in front of these teams so that they can take action on them quickly as well. They're not just limited to sales or sales development. I think that's probably the main use case that comes to mind when people think about a product like this. But really, we're seeing this create value for our customer success teams. Again, they're paying attention and working really closely with existing customers of LeadIQ. They really need to make sure that they're close and aware of where their champions are moving. Similarly with marketing, working on building pipeline. So really, it's across the board. Every go-to-market team at LeadIQ benefits from this, and this is something that RevOps pays really close attention to.
Yeah. And I'm curious because, I mean, you've obviously built sort of our workflow, and I know there were some questions around the automation in Salesforce. What did we consider when we built that? What was most important? And if you can give us any details on how we built that, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know one of the questions earlier was around who can we track or is it customizable? So for LeadIQ, we focused in on a few main buckets. We're looking at people that have bought LeadIQ in the past. So they might not actually be a user of our product, but they were involved in a purchasing decision. People that evaluated LeadIQ, so maybe they didn't ultimately buy, but they got pretty far along in that process. And then people who have actually used LeadIQ, so been an end user of our product. So those are the different types of people that we're looking to follow, at least at this time. We've set up these different workflows and processes to keep tabs on because we know if someone moves roles and we can go bring them into LeadIQ again, we're really likely to close that deal and make it move along faster. So we are actually, like Kunal had showed us, leveraging that flow functionality within Salesforce. It's a native functionality. And what we're doing is we basically designed that tree or that decision tree or logic to go through a series of if, then, and, or true false statements to determine what to actually do with that job change information. So are we going to create a new record or update an existing record? Do we have an account already associated with a person or do we need to create a lead? So there's all kinds of different paths that someone could go down, but we've designed this flow to basically automate everything in between LeadIQ identifying a job and one of our employees actually taking action on that information and that data that we can pull out. Again, tons of different ways to leverage this information. It really applies to every team in our go-to-market function at LeadIQ. And so we've designed the process to basically ensure that we're getting that information to the right people as quickly as possible so they can go take action.
Yeah, I love that. And you said it a couple of times, but that take action is really the big important part, right? And I think it's something that a job change is important to know, but if there's no way for me to actually take action on it, whether that's having the new contact data or getting notified about it timely, then it loses a lot of that power, right?
Yeah. And that action, it may or may not actually even apply to that person, right? If you're a customer of mine and you've left my account, that action might actually be for me to go figure out who took over your role or your involvement with LeadIQ. On the opposite side, it might be for me to go follow you and see if I can bring LeadIQ to you wherever you are next. So a lot of different paths that can end up around. And that's why it's crucial for really every go-to-market team that we have. It's not just sales. It's not just sales development, customer success, marketing. Everyone's got a different flavor of value that they get out of this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Tyler, a couple of questions here we'll answer just with you on here. Is job tracking part of LeadIQ Refresh or a new app exchange service? Yeah, if you want to take that one, you can take that one.
Yeah, good question. So it's part of the same package that you install through Salesforce through the app exchange, but it's a separate product. So we could have a customer using one, the other, or both, but it is actually installed through that same package. So like Kunal had mentioned earlier, it's actually very quick and easy to get the kind of initial piece of this set up and started. It's a matter of installing that package. From there, like he also mentioned, really diving into what is our outcome? What's our goal? What are we trying to do with this information? That's where it gets much more flexible and customizable to each individual customer and user of the product. But at the end of the day, it is coming through that same package.
Yeah, and I think important to note on that too. If you buy contact tracking, you get our implementation and SE team who are both have been helping our early access customers, these first customers we're bringing on to build those workflows. So you're not going to have to do it all on your own. You're going to have our support to make sure it's built right from day one. We're routing everything the way you want to.
Yeah. And subtle plug, they're also users of the product, so they're pretty familiar with it too.
And then Patrick had a question. Can you show how you do this in Salesforce? Patrick, we would love to show you the ins and outs of it, but probably better to talk to either your CSM or to one of our AEs, and we can dive into that with you with the solutions engineers to show you how that works. And this question, and what is the pricing in Salesforce if not licensed as part of Refresh? Like I said, pricing is based on number of contacts you're tracking. So, when you purchase contact tracking, we throw in the Salesforce app, the managed package there as part of it. You're only going to be paying for however many contacts you want to track. So if that's 5,000, 100,000, whatever that total is. And like I said, it's just based on that. We'll talk a little bit more about pricing in the closing here, but yeah, that's how that works. I hope that answers your question, Michael. I think that is all the questions we had here. So Tyler, I want to thank you for your time. Again, it's good to nerd out a little bit on the ops and understand it. Cause again, I think it's something that's not talked about as much with job changes is your role. And like you talked about some of the marketing stuff as well. So appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mitch. Thanks, everybody.
For this part of the conversation, it's a little bit funny. We were planning on bringing on one of our early adopter customers. And in our latest contact tracking job change run, we actually found out that the point of contact there had switched jobs. So our CSM is working on that. But in lieu of that, we're going to bring on a Kino. So he's an account executive here at LeadIQ. Like I said, we eat our own dog food here, and we've been doing a lot over the last few months with contact tracking to really build our own pipeline. And Akino's got a pretty good story of an example of where this came in handy. So Kino, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Mitch. How are you?
Good. So yeah, you recently had a job change that turned into an opportunity. It'd be great if you could just paint the scene for us. What happened here? How did it work out?
Yeah, and I also have took a look at the chats here and noticed the questions that are coming through. So hopefully this helps paint the picture and create a visual for everyone. But I received a job change notification as a seller. I spend a lot of time in Salesforce. I think a lot of other sellers do as well. I have a report that's built out from Tyler and team, so I appreciate that sincerely. And throughout this report, I received a notification of a job change. I have different personas, titles that kind of stand out to me. So I opened up Salesforce. This is a part of my normal day to day. Went to the report, job change is there. Our job change tool links the prior account. So maybe the previous company you used to work at and the new company that you are at now. Also, if your title changed, email, phone number, etc. So for me, I went to do some immediate research, pulled up the previous account, went through and noticed that the person evaluated LeadIQ in the past, but they had to stop the evaluation due to a sickness. I think it was like COVID related. Sorry to hear that for sure, but I looked at the notes and said, hey, I think this person's probably interested in LeadIQ. They came back to us from a previous interaction. Looks like their experience may have went well and maybe it just stopped due to that sickness. So I think for me, it was having a job change. Number one is a cool thing to know, having that ability to see it immediately in Salesforce. But I think the biggest benefit was the actionable information. I knew their previous account history. I knew the new phone number. I knew the new email. And in my messaging, when I went out to that individual, I referenced that. Wasn't super detailed. It was just very high level. Hey, Mitch, noticed you looked at LeadIQ in the past. Seems like the evaluation got cut short. Congrats on your new position. Could LeadIQ be a benefit for your new sales team? Person immediately responded and said, hey, your timing's right on point. We scheduled a qualification, which is just a discovery conversation. Move that person through a POC, and they're actually one of our pipeline opportunities for next quarter.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. Is this someone you would have found without that job change notification, or what would the process have been to actually try and find that without it?
So I would have had to comb through Salesforce, multiple accounts, go through our outreach tool. Me and my SDR would have done lots of account planning. It would have probably taken us weeks upon months to find this individual. There's no way I would have known about this job change without this tool. So for sure, I think the opportunity is geared solely based on that notification for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. And how does your approach to that deal change if it's someone who already knows LeadIQ, they've already evaluated us, or maybe they bought before, versus a cold lead, a cold outreach that you get? How do you approach that? Those two different things.
We typically go after opportunities based on the buyer journey. If I send a cold email out to you, Mitch, and you're not familiar with LeadIQ, it's going to take me some time to get you through the steps. Obviously, I have to make you aware, I have to engage with you, get you to even consider this service. And then we go down the process of getting you into a buying stage. I think this individual was a warm lead. I
Mhm.
think they had complete understanding of what LeadIQ offers, what we solve. I actually think it sped up the deal cycle, maybe even upwards of 2 to 3 weeks time frame. So you're taking a deal that maybe closes this quarter, maybe closes next quarter, and you would be able to close it this quarter. So it sped up the process for sure.
Music to any seller's ears, right? Awesome. I appreciate, I know it's end of Q2 and you're a busy guy. I just saw a deal come through that you posted. Yeah, I appreciate you being on here and sharing your experience. Very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So great. So that's it for our speakers today. What we're going to do is bring everybody back on stage. If you do have additional questions, we're popping up the link to learn more about contact tracking. You can go there, get another look at it, and set up a live demo with one of our experts, and they can walk you through any specific questions you might have. I want to thank everybody for coming today. I know it's a busy time of year. Contact tracking is available now. Like I said, this is ready. If you're looking for a solution like this, we're ready to go. If you're a current LeadIQ customer, you can also talk to your CSM and they can help set you up and show you how it works. Pricing is based on number of contacts tracked. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about it, that it's really flexible and a lot more straightforward, that you know how much you're going to be paying each year, no matter how many job changes come through. And when you purchase, you'll get our implementation and support. Even for existing customers, we'll make sure that we set you up and get your workflows in place. Again, I'm Mitch Comstock. If you have any questions after the fact, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or connect with any of our speakers here. They'll all be willing to chat with you. And again, we'll send the recording tomorrow of this webinar, but I appreciate everybody's time and thanks so much.